What if one simple change in your daily coffee routine could help control your blood sugar naturally? Before you take your next sip, there's something important you need to know that could change your health. I'm not talking about any miracle formula, and I'm not selling anything. I'm talking about coffee, the drink that's in your kitchen right now. And one detail that changes everything: the way and the timing in which you drink that cup. In recent years, I've closely followed hundreds of patients with prediabetes and type 2 diabetes, especially people over 60. And what I'm going to tell you today is something that has truly changed many of their lives. Brazil is facing a silent crisis. According to the Ministry of Health itself, diabetes cases have increased by 135% in less than 2 decades in our country. Today, nearly 20 million Brazilians have the disease. And data from Votel, the government's monitoring system, shows that prevalence reaches an astonishing 30% among seniors over 65, 1 in every 3. It's much more than most people imagine. And what worries me most in my daily practice is not just those who already have the diagnosis, but the huge group of people who are right on the edge with high glucose levels, with that unexplained fatigue after lunch, with that constant thirst that doesn't go away, and who haven't yet been diagnosed, or who have but don't know what to do beyond taking medication and waiting. Stay with me until the end of this video because I'm going to show you how a small adjustment which costs nothing can make a huge difference in controlling your glucose. But first, I need to tell you something that most people don't know about coffee. Imagine your pancreas as a small factory that produces insulin, the hormone responsible for opening the doors of your cells so that glucose can enter and be turned into energy. When you eat, glucose enters your bloodstream. This factory goes into action, produces insulin, and the glucose is absorbed by the cells. Everything works fine. The problem begins when this factory becomes overloaded. When you eat a lot of foods that spike your blood sugar quickly, the pancreas has to work at its limit. Over time, your cells become less sensitive to insulin. The pancreas has to produce more and more to achieve the same effect. And that's when insulin resistance sets in, the gateway to type 2 diabetes. Now, what about coffee? What does it have to do with all this? Coffee is an extraordinary drink from a biochemical point of view. It contains hundreds of bioactive compounds, but 2 of them stand out to science: chlorogenic acid and trionel. Think of them as traffic controllers in your intestines. When you drink coffee before eating, these compounds make the absorption of sugar from food slower and more controlled. Instead of a surge of glucose entering your bloodstream all at once, you get a smooth flow that your pancreas can manage without stress. A study published in Diabetes Care, conducted by researchers from the Harvard School of Public Health, analyzed data from more than 1 million people and reached a conclusion that really impressed me when I first read it. Regular coffee consumption is associated with a significant reduction in the risk of developing type 2 diabetes. And it's not a small effect. The risk decreases in a dose-dependent way. The more cups per day within a reasonable limit, the lower the risk of developing the disease. Then in 2018, researchers from the Karolinska Institute in Sweden, one of the most respected medical institutions in the world, reviewed 30 different studies covering nearly 1.2 to 22 million participants, and confirmed coffee consumption, both regular and decaffeinated, is associated with about a 30% reduction in the risk of developing type 2 diabetes. But here's the point that almost no one talks about. These benefits depend on how you drink coffee, because the wrong coffee at the wrong time in the wrong way can work against you. And that's exactly what I see happening in my practice far too often. Let me tell you about Mr. Arnaldo. 72 years old, retired, a man of habits. He had been drinking coffee since he was 17 and was proud of it. But when he came to my office, his fasting glucose was 138 and his HbA1c, which reflects the average blood sugar over the last 3 months, was 7.1% above the desired level. He told me, "Doctor, I do everything right. I drink coffee every day. I walk 3 times a week." So I asked him to walk me through his coffee routine in detail. And that's when I discovered the problem. Every day, as soon as he woke up, before eating anything, he would drink a large cup of strong black coffee. Then he would have another one at 300 p.m. with a sweet biscuit, and sometimes a third before bed because he thought it helped him relax. 3 classic mistakes that I'm going to explain to you now. Mistake number 1, drinking coffee on an empty stomach right after waking up. This is the most common one and the one that causes the most harm. When you wake up after a whole night of fasting, your body already has elevated cortisol levels, which is the stress hormone, the same one your adrenal glands produce when you're in an urgent situation. Cortisol already signals your liver to release glucose into the bloodstream, so you have energy to start the day. It's a normal survival mechanism. The problem is that caffeine amplifies this effect. It further stimulates the adrenal glands, releases more adrenaline, and the liver responds by releasing even more glucose into the blood. And you haven't eaten anything yet. The result? You haven't even taken a bite of food and your glucose has already risen between 20 and 40 milligrams per deciliter. I've seen lab results that confirm this in patients who continuously monitor their glucose. A study published in the British Journal of Nutrition confirmed this effect. Drinking black coffee on an empty stomach after a night of sleep can significantly increase blood glucose levels in the morning. Mistake number 2, coffee with sugar, artificial sweetener, or cream. It may seem harmless, but it's not. A spoonful of sugar in coffee causes an immediate spike in glucose and cancels out the benefits of the chlorogenic acid you just consumed. It's like starting a fire and pouring gasoline on it at the same time. The blood and artificial sweeteners. Many people think they're the perfect solution, but recent research, including a study published in the scientific journal Nutrition in 2021, suggests that artificial sweeteners like aspartame and sucralose can alter the gut microbiota, the set of bacteria that live in your intestines and play a key role in glucose metabolism, in ways that can harm long-term blood sugar control. And there's an important piece of data released in January 2025, published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition by the Harvard School of Public Health, analyzing 3 large American cohorts. Coffee without any additives was associated with a 10% reduction in diabetes risk for each additional cup per day. However, when coffee was consumed with sugar, this protective effect decreased significantly. The most have translated into practical advice. Remove sugar from your coffee. It sounds simple, but it's powerful. Mistake number 3, drinking coffee in the late afternoon or at night. Caffeine has a half-life of 5 to 6 hours in the body. This means that if you drink coffee at 3 p.m., half of that caffeine is still circulating in your body at 8 p.m. It keeps cortisol levels elevated, interferes with deep sleep, and it's during quality sleep that the body regulates part of glucose metabolism. Poor sleep equals uncontrolled glucose. It's a vicious cycle. When I explained all this to Mr. Arnaldo and we adjusted his coffee routine together, in 8 weeks, his fasting glucose dropped from 138 to 112. His HbA1c went from 7.1% to 6.6%. Without changing medication, without a radical diet, without going to the gym, just by adjusting his coffee habits. Now, I'm going to tell you how you should drink coffee to make the most of the benefits that science has already proven. But first, I need to ask you something. If this content is helping you, give it a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I have much more content like this that can transform your health in the upcoming videos. And tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I love knowing which part of Brazil my content is reaching. Back to our topic, the right coffee at the right time. First golden moment, breakfast. But not the very first thing in the morning. When you wake up, first drink a glass of water. Wait between 30 and 60 minutes. Eat something that contains protein. Scrambled eggs, a piece of cheese, plain unsweetened yogurt, any source of protein. Only then drink your coffee and drink it plain without sugar or sweetener. Why protein first? Because protein buffers the impact of caffeine on cortisol. It provides amino acids that the liver uses more efficiently, and this prevents that spike in cortisol that unnecessarily releases glucose into the bloodstream. Research published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology showed that consuming protein before carbohydrates and caffeine reduces the post-meal glucose spike. And if you want to enhance it even more, add half a teaspoon of cinnamon powder to your coffee. Cinnamon contains compounds that partially mimic the action of insulin, helping cells absorb glucose. A review published in the journal Nutrients showed that regular cinnamon consumption may contribute to a modest reduction in fasting glucose levels. It's not medicine, but it's an ally. Second moment, coffee before lunch. This is a secret that few people know. About 20 to 30 minutes before your main meal, drink a small cup of plain black coffee without sugar. The chlorogenic acid in coffee will act like that traffic controller I mentioned earlier, slowing down the absorption of sugar from the foods you're about to eat. This reduces the post-meal glucose spike, which is one of the main triggers for developing type 2 diabetes. A study conducted by researchers at Brigham and Women's Hospital affiliated with Harvard Medical School and published in Diabetes Care showed that coffee components, especially chlorogenic acid and trigonelline, significantly reduce glucose and insulin concentrations in the first 15 minutes after consuming carbohydrates compared to a placebo. This effect is real, measurable, and you can take advantage of it without spending anything. Third moment after physical exercise. Do you walk or do any physical activity? Then pay attention. Within 30 minutes after finishing your walk or any exercise, drink a cup of plain coffee. When your muscles are active or have just worked, they become much more receptive to glucose. They act like a sponge, absorbing sugar from the blood to use as energy. Caffeine at this moment enhances this effect, helping muscles absorb glucose even more efficiently. It's a metabolic window of opportunity that most people miss. As for the total amount of coffee per day, the World Health Organization, along with most medical guidelines, considers that consuming up to 4 or 5 small cups of coffee per day within a healthy pattern is safe for most adults. The Karolinska Institute, in the review of 30 studies I mentioned, found that this amount falls within the range of protective benefits against diabetes. But each person is different. If you feel palpitations, anxiety, tremors, or insomnia from coffee, it may be that your caffeine metabolism is slower, which is genetically determined. In that case, reduce it to 2 cups per day, or choose a quality decaffeinated option which also contains chlorogenic acid and retains many of the benefits. Here's a story I need to tell you. Danelli, 68 years old, a retired teacher, came to my clinic with type 2 diabetes, diagnosed 3 years earlier using metformin with glucose still difficult to control. She was the type of patient who followed everything correctly, took her medication, reduced rice, but her HbA1c stubbornly stayed above 7.5%. When I discussed her routine, I discovered that she drank sweetened coffee with milk in the morning, coffee with sweet biscuits in the afternoon, and had practically stopped moving because her legs felt heavy. Together, we created a simple plan. Breakfast. Wait 45 minutes after waking up. Eat a boiled egg. Then have plain coffee with cinnamon. Pre-launch coffee. A small cup 20 minutes before eating. A 25-minute walk in the afternoon 3 times a week and a coffee right after. We eliminated the sweetened afternoon coffee and the biscuits. 6 weeks later, she returned to the clinic with a smile I will never forget. Her HbA1c had dropped from 7.5% to 6.8%. Her fasting glucose was 109. She told me, "Doctor, I woke up with energy for the first time in years. I didn't change her medication, I changed her relationship with coffee. But now I need to warn you about something important that may be sabotaging you without you realizing it. Coffee has invisible enemies that destroy all the benefits I've just described. I'll list the main ones. Enemy number 1, sugar of any kind. Refined, brown, Demerara, honey. Anything sweet added to coffee creates an immediate glucose spike that cancels the protective effect of chlorogenic acid. The 2025 Harvard research made this very clear. Coffee with sugar has reduced protection against diabetes. Enemy number 2, artificial sweeteners. As I explained earlier, there is growing evidence that aspartame and sucralose disrupt the balance of the gut microbiota, which is essential for healthy glucose metabolism. If you need to sweeten it, try natural stevia, which so far has not shown the same negative effects in available research. Enemy number 3, industrialized instant coffee, the kind that comes in sachets. These products often contain hidden sugar, hydrogenated fats, and additives that compromise nutritional quality. Prioritize natural ground coffee, 100% Arabica, freshly brewed. Enemy number 4, coffee paired with ultra-processed foods, white bread, filled cookies, industrial cakes. When you combine coffee with these foods, the glucose spike from refined carbohydrates is so high that no amount of chlorogenic acid can compensate. And finally, I'll tell you about what I call the protection triad, because coffee works even better when it's part of a context of healthy habits. First element, smart coffee. The way I taught you at the right time without sugar, maximizing the benefits of chlorogenic acid. Second element, movement. You don't need to go to a gym. 30 minutes of moderate-paced walking 3 to 5 times a week is enough to dramatically improve insulin sensitivity. Moving muscles act like drains, pulling glucose out of the blood independently of insulin. This has been confirmed by so many studies that it would be impossible to list them all here. Third element, adequate protein intake in meals. Protein is the macronutrient that has the least impact on glucose, promotes satiety, and protects muscle mass, which is the body's largest consumer of glucose. After the age of 60, protein needs increase because the body becomes less efficient at using it. Eggs, chicken, fish, beans, cheese, and plain yogurt include a source of protein in each main meal. When these three elements work together, the effects multiply. Coffee improves insulin sensitivity. Exercise increases glucose uptake by muscles. And protein stabilizes post-meal glucose spikes. It's a powerful combination that doesn't cost much and doesn't require any special product. But I need to be honest with you about one thing. Everything I've described here are complementary lifestyle strategies based on solid scientific evidence. They can help a lot, but they do not replace medical evaluation and follow-up. If you already have diagnosed diabetes and use medication, never change the dosage or stop taking it on your own. Ideally, you should take this information to your doctor, discuss it together, and make adjustments with professional guidance. Now, let me ask you a question. Do you have a family member, a father, mother, sibling, or close friend who struggles with high blood sugar or already has diabetes? Share this video with that person now. You might be giving them information that could change something in their life. Quality information based on science is one of the greatest gifts we can give to those we love. I want to leave you with a thought I've carried with me for years in medicine. Your body is not your enemy. Your body is constantly trying to balance itself, heal, and adapt. When glucose rises, when fatigue doesn't go away, when your legs swell, these are signals. They are cries for help from your body. And often what it's asking for is not a new pill. Sometimes it's a small change, like the time you drink a cup of coffee. Health doesn't live in the pharmacy, it lives in daily habits. In the next video, I'll show you the 5 foods that people with pre-diabetes need to eliminate from their diet as soon as possible, because these foods silently inflame glucose levels and most people have no idea. Make sure to turn on notifications so you don't miss it. It's been a great pleasure being here with you. Take good care of yourself and take good care of those you love. Your health is shaped by the small choices you make every day, so make them count. Start with one simple change today, and your future yourself will thank you. I will see you in the next.